Hey everyone, I have my friend here, Joshua Blais. This is
Hey
the
guys,
second part of the Emacs video that I released a few days ago. How's it going, Josh?
it's going pretty well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for showing up. And
Hey, absolutely, man. You talk about Emacs, I'll be there.
yeah, thanks for helping me with Emacs. The goal of the videos, the Emacs related videos, is just so that people get to know it a little bit more.
Yep.
And they won't have the same questions that I have, so the questions that I
Right.
will be asking are just beginner questions, and hopefully they will help people that is trying to get to know Emacs a little bit, and
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, everybody was a beginner at one time. And like, I wish I had the resources that exist today because there's so many people that are actually putting out really good content with regard to Emacs. And like, when I started in probably 2017, 2016, there was almost nothing. Like, you had to like freeball it. And it was like, it was a journey to say the least.
how many hours did you spend? How many months?
Man, I gave up. I also gave up. So like I put probably, I don't know, I want to say I probably put like 3 months into it really hard. And then I was like, I'm just not making enough progress with it. And I went back to Vim. And that was like classic Vim. That wasn't Neovim back in the day. I'm dating myself now. I'm old. And I stayed with him for a couple of years, and then I went back to Emacs when Doom was kind of the big thing in 2020. I think is around when it really started to take off,
Hmm.
and there were guys like DistroTube that were doing stuff covering it, and that's when I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I'm going to put myself more into it, and then became a full-time user. And probably about 2020, 2021 was really when I like really gave it my all and have shifted almost all of my workflow over to it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're a full-time Emacs then.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a spat with Neovim, as you saw with my video.
Yeah.
Uh, that's how you found me, I think, back in the
That's
day.
what caught my
Yeah,
attention. Yeah. Yeah.
about 6 months ago or so, and
You had an
it was a love
affair.
affair.
Uh-huh.
Exactly, it was an affair, and I came back to my sweetie Emacs, and I've been loyal ever since. So
It was just a one-time mistake, right?
yeah, exactly. No, I still use Neovim quite extensively, like on the server and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, I'm an evil mode user, so I know people that are like purists with Emacs will be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But I really love the Vim movements. It's just so ingrained into me from using Vim all that time. So yeah, like I still use evil mode. I essentially use Vim inside Emacs. It's like Inception.
And what did your audience say when you switched to Neovim?
You know what? I had only really made like one or two videos about Emacs. One of them was about writing a book. And I think I had only made, seriously, maybe even just one video about Emacs. So I didn't have like this big, broad audience that was following Emacs. So it wasn't
Hmm.
like this huge thing. But the comments on that Neovim video really like, they kind of, I don't think I had got Emacs to the full extent until reading those comments. As soon as I saw these comments about like how it's this Lisp machine and how you're not really comparing apples to oranges when you're comparing. Sorry, you are comparing apples to oranges when you're comparing Neovim and Emacs. I was like, oh, I think I've been using it wrong this entire time, and it sparked some stuff in me, and that's kind of why it brought me back.
Oh, but people didn't get upset or anything. They were just,
Nah, I mean, people do their internet spat stuff. It's all in good jest, right? Like, it's the holy war of Vim versus Emacs. But
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I think there's space for both editors, and there's a space for kind of both methods of doing text manipulation. Emacs for me is just kind of the way that I've started to use a computer in whole, like the holistic sense,
Hmm.
in that it has replaced like all of my CLI to UI stuff, and it's been centralized into Emacs, where it's actually, people are going to be like, what are you talking about when you say this? But it's actually simplified things tremendously.
Oh,
That's my
I see.
daughter screaming in the background.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
fine.
if you can hear that.
Yeah, a little bit. I had a call with Roman a few days ago, and his baby was crying throughout the video, but it's
Nice,
fine.
nice.
Life,
Yeah,
that's the way
we
it
all know
is.
how it is. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
100%.
I don't know if the audience knows how it is, you know, probably not. Who knows?
Uh,
But
they will. They will.
yeah, eventually, yeah. And all right. So let's see. We already went through getting to know you. Let me just share my screen real quick so that people can see the previous video, right? So if you guys don't know Josh, you can go and watch this video. We recorded it, what, 2 weeks ago? And
About
we
that.
went
Yep.
over, yeah, you know, getting to know you a little bit more and all that stuff. And installation, basically. And we didn't do anything else in that video because we spent a lot of time talking at the beginning, right? So I think I want to skip all that part right now and just jump right into it. Is there anything you want to discuss that is listed here before we jump right into Emacs?
I think we were going to do mostly org mode today, so kind of like what I would refer to as like the killer app of Emacs, and actually what had brought me to Emacs in the first place. It's like a life organization system is what you can use org mode for, and it's something that has kind of brought a lot of people to Emacs and keeps them there because it's like this. It's like the Apple walled garden of Emacs, where you like it's like the killer app, and like you have to be there to use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll chat mostly about org mode today, if that's cool. I think.
All right. All right. So
do
yeah,
it.
arc mode. I'm gonna skip all of the questions that I have here. I don't know if you're able to see that on the screen, but since we already
Nope, all
covered,
good.
yeah, this in the previous video, we didn't cover all of them because I added a few new questions, you know, but I'm not going to cover any of this. So let's jump right into it. You want to share my
Let's do it.
screen or you want to share yours to begin with?
Do you want to start with mine, and I'll kind of go over? I guess I'll kind of go over like what org mode is, and then go from there.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, is that zoomed in enough? Would you say?
Yep, it looks
Maybe even one more.
quite well.
There
Yep.
you go. Okay, yeah. So org mode is kind of it's this markdown on steroids that I kind of mentioned in the previous video. And what you can really do with it is create a life organization system. And I think that's what a lot of people do with it. Not only that, though, like you can use it for project management, you can use it for accounting, you can use it for pretty much anything. People even use it for writing code in something called literate programming. It's kind of fallen out of style in recent decades, but back in the 80s and 90s, it was this huge thing where you essentially write your documentation inside your code, and your code blocks live with that documentation, and it's all like essentially amalgamated into a file together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something similar to what you showed me in your blog post. That is your blog post is basically your Emacs configuration file, right? So you don't have to keep stuff in two separate places.
You got it. So if you actually, I'll send you the link for that blog post if you want to put it in this video. But like what it is my what we call literate config. So that is essentially my documentation as well as my Lisp code that makes my Emacs work and run the way that it does. So that's just one file, and it's tangled into it's essentially a org file, so a .org file, and it's tangled into a .el file, which is Lisp in Emacs. Lisp is what is used for configuration and programming the editor. It's kind of like Lua for Neovim. Because you're familiar with Lua. I'm sure you are, because you have quite the extensive configuration for Neovim. So you know a little bit of Lua.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big killer feature of it. I'll kind of get into why it's so cool, because there's something called org agenda and org roam. There's like there's a multitude of extensions that you can add on top of it that essentially allow you to do note taking in a way that you can integrate PDFs or your ebooks and take notes directly in those files. So it actually like links to the page where you took the note rather, and it puts it into a org file. So when you're like taking notes on a book, for example, you can have the book on one side, you can have your notes on another. And when you're writing notes, they actually link to directly where you are in that book, which is it's pretty handy if you're inclined to that direction. But yeah, like let's get into just kind of like some of the basics of org mode. So like as we had spoke about previously, like you're a markdown guy, so you have asterisks instead of the hashes as your kind of your nested lists. So that's list number 1 or level number 1. Level number 2 would be like a second asterisk. And you can essentially take these and go all the way down if you wanted to have nested lists, right?
So that's like bullet points, right?
Precisely. Yeah. They're like bullet points. Actually not really like bullet points. They're actually more like headings. They're more like the hash
those are the markdown headings.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be more akin to what these are. So these are essentially your headings, right? Because you can actually have bullet points within them, but we'll get into that. So I kind of wrote an example org file for us, and I'll just kind of go through it. So this is kind of a to-do, and you can see that it was wrapped when I opened it and closed it. And there are a list of things to do within that to-do, right? So you can almost think of it like a project. You have like a main project, and then you have the things that you need to do underneath it that are potentially, and you can see like you can get quite nested with these different to-dos and points of, you see what I'm saying?
Yep. I get it.
So for example, you have a main to-do, and then you have a thing that you need to do on top of that to-do, and you have list within that you need to accomplish before that to-do can be done, right? So it's kind of like Inception. You go down the list of like things that you potentially need to do in a day, and you check them off, and then you actually can proceed with the next task, whatever, right?
But I have a question. I have a question there.
Yeah. So, stop me anytime. Stop me anytime.
Yeah. I'll ask the questions that someone new will ask. So I think people are gonna find this really useful. Let me show you my screen real quick, right? So if I jump here to where? To here. And just gonna open, hold on, this file, right? What I have here are just headings. So what we're looking at is headings right now, right? I have a number that helps me just identify the heading. This is level 2. And for example, I can open them, and this is a level, let me see where I have a code block. Yeah, so this is level 2 heading, and these are level 3. I have them indented, and I have a little number that helps me see what level each one of them is. Is that what we're looking at right now?
Yes, this would be essentially that sort of your heading and then your subheading all the way down if you want it to be. So people like use org mode pretty extensively for writing, and we'll even talk about exporting to Markdown. It pretty much exports one-to-one org to Markdown. So like this would essentially export to a pretty similar Markdown file. Were you to post this to you use Jekyll for your blog, I believe
Jekyll.
You said?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you wanted to use this as, for example, a blog post, you could actually export this directly to Markdown and pretty much have to do zero editing to have it in the Markdown format for that blog.
Okay. And I see you have a to-do there on the heading. Does that to-do make a difference?
No. So essentially, I just have that as a to-do here. And what I was going to talk about is the different, we'll call them states, I guess we'll call them. So for example, you can see at the very bottom, I don't know if you can see this in my screen, but it says to-do state change from to-do to done blocked by to-do call with you, right?
Yep.
So you'll see that you actually have in order for this main to do to be done, to be marked as done, I have to actually accomplish the things that are underneath it so that it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's say I'm done the call with you, then I can mark this as done, right? There's different states that you can do. Let's say there's empty start or empty start. There we go. So like I've actually started the call with you, and you'll notice that this little logbook thing came up here, and that actually shows the clock for the time so you can like clock in and clock out. So people that are employees or contractors can say, I have a task to do today, and I need to track my time on it to show my employer or the person I'm doing the contract for. There you go. You have a clock that's within that task, and it actually you can see in the bottom right of my screen there's that 0.00. That will be continually counting up as we go through this call and time this call, for example. So you'll get an invoice at the end of this call.
Can I pay with that crypto?
Absolutely. I only accept crypto. No, but you can kind of see how like orgmode is like Emacs in and of itself. It is like a rabbit hole that you could go down for at perpetuity is the word I'm looking for.
Oh,
it is like it's very deep. There's a lot of depth to it. So people use it for just surface level writing when they start out, and then they're like, oh, I can do task management with it. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit deeper. Oh, I can do my clocking for my work. Oh, okay, we'll go a little bit deeper. I can write code in it. Oh, we'll go a little bit deeper, and it kind of goes all the way down to which you can essentially use org mode for. I don't want to say everything in your life, but a lot of things in your life. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to it, is they see the ultimate potential of it, and they're like, wow, like this is pretty cool. You'll also note that I have like a schedule. So like I scheduled this call for today at 9 a.m. our time. I could change that very simply to tomorrow at 9 a.m. or tomorrow at, I don't know, 1:30, right? Like you can change these schedulings very easily. And what I use this for pretty consistently is my deadlines. So like, as we had mentioned in the previous stream, I'm self-employed. So I have to set deadlines for myself. Otherwise, nothing ever gets done.
Yeah, I know how it is.
So I put deadlines into my calendar, and I actually like pull them up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So one of the cool things about org mode 2 is you have something called org agenda. So I'm going to show you something, my calendar. So
okay, but then I want to go over this, and I want to type it myself. So because there will be questions. Yeah, you can show me that, sure. And then I just want to type it and create the file and open Emacs and all that, because I don't remember quite well how all of that was done. Yep.
That sounds like a plan. So the last thing I'll show you then, because this is a scheduled task, is I'm going to add this to my org agenda. Sorry, that was remove. I'm going to add it to my org agenda, and I'm going to open my calendar. And you can see right here in my calendar is that call with you. And when I click on it, or when I hit enter on it, it actually just links right back to that task. So you can kind of imagine having dozens of these different files of to-dos and these schedules or whatever. And you have a calendar that amalgamates all of those tasks into one place. You see where I'm going? It's pretty cool.
Now,
it's pretty cool.
I have a question. What if I want to, let's say that for this meeting, right? I added it in my calendar application, the macOS calendar application. I added your email. You got an invite, right? Can I do that from Emacs?
Yes.
I can?
The answer with Emacs is essentially always yes.
But you would get the invite, right? I invite you from Emacs, and you get the invites, and you accept it, and I don't have to go to the calendar app on macOS?
So there's depending on what you use for the invite. So if you use like Google Calendar or something like that,
Google.
I believe it is possible. There's been some debate in the Emacs community of how great it is to integrate Google Calendar or not. Because I integrate Google Calendar to the extent that I will put an event into my Emacs, and push it out to my Google Calendar where it lives. Doing the invite, I'm not 100% sure about. I'm not going to speak on that, but I'm guessing it's probably possible if you're a Lisp wizard, which I am not. So
Okay, but it could be probably. What you do is that you add an event in Emacs and it adds it in your Google Calendar, for example, right?
yes, yeah. So I have like a let me see here if I can. It's a addition to org mode called org_gcal, and the command I want is post at point. So whenever let's say I'm on this line, I can actually post that to do with the time to Google Calendar, and it will show up in my calendar and be there for like my phone, for example, because like I get my notifications on my phone for 10 minutes to this event, and I get the notification on my phone, and that's all driven by Emacs. Making the event and pushing it out to the calendar. With regard to invites, it uses the Google Calendar API. I don't know how deep that goes, but I would assume that they probably have functions that you can create invites and such. I have not done that. That's going to actually be something I'm going to try to do.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is, for example, right? I have a few meetings scheduled, for this week. And what do I have to do? I have to go to the macOS app, create the event there, and just basically add the email of the person that I want to invite. That's it. I just add your email. You will get that, and you can confirm and all that stuff. I don't enjoy leaving my terminal and going to the macOS calendar app. I have to grab my mouse. Where's my mouse? I have to go, how do I add an event here? I have to double click on the time slot that I want. I don't enjoy it, right? So if I could stay in the terminal, I would definitely do it. That was the reason why I was asking.
Well, what happens with Emacs is people are like, exactly like you. They're like, I don't want to grab my mouse. That dirty thing. I don't want to touch that thing. So they literally will write Lisp functions within Emacs to do these different things so that they can stay in Emacs. And essentially, the goal is to live in Emacs. The rest of your life can be, spent elsewhere, but when you're on a computer, it's to live in Emacs. That's the whole goal.
Yeah, because I spend all of the day, basically almost all of the day in the terminal in Neovim, in different projects. And sometimes, well, I do use other apps, of course, like YouTube, and I have to schedule events, and I'm like, it feels too different. The workflow is completely different. It kills the vibe, and it's like, no, I don't know.
The big thing about Emacs is something that I didn't mention in the previous video, but what Emacs does is it stops the context switch, which is for people that work on a computer is tremendously expensive cognitively. Yeah. Right. So if I can live in a place that everything is unified, all of my keybinds are linked, everything is self-documenting, I can literally search. If I can't remember a keybind, I can literally just search using meta+x. All of a sudden, you're like, it's a different philosophy, right? Like you're staying in one place as long as you possibly can, so that you're not switching context between browser, between terminal, between TUI1 versus CLI2. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is kind of the mental shift that happens, because there's really essentially two ultimate developer workflows. And one is the TUI, CLI centric workflow, where everything is, you use your program for this and your program for this, and you pipe between them. Or there's Emacs, which is essentially the unified version of all of that. And that's the different philosophy, I would say. And both workflows are absolutely valid.
And you said that I can run Neovim within Emacs, right?
Well, you can run Vim controls within Emacs. Yeah. So like your keybinds that you have in your muscle memory, you can literally just transfer that into Emacs, and you'd feel like at home. We'll put it that way.
All right. All right.
I'm trying to sell it to them, guys. I'm trying to sell it to them.
Yeah, it seems I'm just gonna ask questions that I'm interested in. I'm not gonna be asking stuff that I won't use because you know how it is, right? Sometimes you get a tutorial and there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that you're not interested in, and it's like, no. But yep, I just want to see the power of Emacs and see how I could integrate it into my life. That calendar
Yeah.
thing seems quite interesting, because of what
Yeah.
we discussed right now, staying in the terminal or at least a terminal-based application if possible, right? So, all right. Is there something else you wanted to show here before I type stuff in?
No, not really. Like I was going to discuss writing a little bit for you because you're a markdown, like you write a blog and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I guess one thing I'll do right now is I'll show you the export. Like you can actually export this to markdown right here. And you can actually see right there, that's my exported markdown completely. Like this would be valid for throwing onto your blog right then and there.
Okay. It's just raw
So like,
markdown.
yeah, 100%. And then you can even, like, if you wanted to preview it in HTML, for example, let's see if this works for me.
It opens your browser. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So like this is a fully HTML compliant. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. And is this, because there's a plugin in Neovim that does this. What is this? Markdown preview, that Envim, I think it's called. Is this like baked into Emacs, or is this something you installed additionally?
That's a good question. This is a export. I want to say it's related to orgmode. Like I think that if you download the org package within Emacs,
Okay.
you get the export. I want to
there
say
probably.
I could be, yeah, I could be wrong with that. And if I am wrong, post in the comments because this is something that's baked into Doom Emacs. This is why I really am an advocate for Doom Emacs, is that it comes with all these like sane, useful defaults that I've never had to like add to my base Emacs configuration. So I'm not 100% sure about that. If somebody is a vanilla Emacs user and is watching this video, comment below and tell me how wrong I am. But it is baked into Doom Emacs from like the get-go. So,
all right, interesting. Okay, thanks for that. So let me switch to my screen then.
Let's do it.
Okay, and we can get started. Let me switch here. I haven't even, well, I did open Emacs. I'm not going to lie. I opened Emacs today because I wanted to check the KJ. You remember I had an issue with KJ? It works now.
Yes.
It probably was
fantastic.
my computer. Yeah, I just needed a reboot or something. I don't know what was going on, but it's working.
Sometimes closing Emacs and reopening it is what you need to do. But if we make changes to that main configuration file, generally just restarting, like the way that we were doing it, space HRR, doom reload or whatever, usually that works. But sometimes you just got to close it and reopen it. It's the computer's for you, right?
Yeah. This is the command, right?
Yep, you got it.
Emacs. Yeah, this is the one that we were typing the last time. So let me do something. I'm going to create an alias for this because...
that's a good idea. Even just Emacs as the alias is a good idea.
Hold on. What's happening here? There. Just gonna...
As an aside, while you do that, one of the things that is in Linux is the X11 system versus Wayland. I'm probably talking gibberish to your audience right now, but the X11 ecosystem is far more mature than the Wayland ecosystem. So I actually launch Emacs in a Wayland GNOME system, but I run Emacs in an X11 window because it's much faster, much more responsive. I may be speaking complete gibberish to your
and X11 is like the old way of doing things.
It is, and I mean it's just more mature. It's just like they've done optimizations for it, and so like when I start up Emacs, I actually run it with an alias to run it in X11 mode as opposed to Wayland.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it's faster that way. It's more performant.
It's much more performant. It's actually like almost equivalent to Neovim. Like I've actually put Emacs on one side, Neovim on the other, and tried to like scroll through and do LSPs and stuff. And it is just as fast as Neovim, at least for me.
Interesting. That's a nice tip. a nice tip.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
I just want to quickly do something, Josh. I wanna just write down the commands that I'm going to be using here, if that's
idea.
okay with you, in a file.
No, absolutely.
This is my blog post, and look how important this is. I'm even going to create a file here.
Oh my goodness. It's happening, guys. It's happening. He's switching.
It's 2025. What is it? 4. Man, I hate typing the numbers in this keyboard.
Do you use a number layer?
No, I don't. And
okay.
The reason I don't is because when I switch to the laptop, I want to type fast as
gotcha.
well. So I type slow in both of them. Do you use layers on your keyboard?
I have to, because I use a 36 keyer.
Uh-huh.
So I have to use, I essentially set my third layer to a numpad. So like under my right hand is the, it would be a 10 key numpad.
Mm-hmm.
And in my laptop, I run something called Kmonad rather. And it is a way to create layers on essentially any keyboard. So I actually have a numpad under my right hand when I hit a layer on my laptop.
Okay, a numpad. Okay, I could do that in Carabiner. It's another tool, a keyboard mapper for macOS.
I'm familiar because I use my girlfriend's Mac sometimes.
Oh, so you're familiar with Carabiner. Okay. But I'm just too lazy, and I just use the numbers. But I don't like that I have to be looking where the numbers are. I'm not used to them. And I've been typing numbers for years on computer keyboards. Fair. I got used to the keypad so much that let's see. I'm just going to put this here, and I'm going to upload this later. So create the alias. And just gonna leave that for the folks that need that there.
Nice.
And how do you run it? Do you usually run it just Emacs? Is that what you type?
I mean, I have a hotkey bound to it, so I just we can even talk about there's an Emacs daemon that essentially you open. So one of the big, I actually was going to make a video about this either today or tomorrow, but there was a guy that wrote a blog post about how Emacs startup time doesn't matter. And the reason is because when you essentially open Emacs once in your life cycle of your computer. So you essentially start your computer, Emacs starts up, and then that's the only time you have to open up Emacs, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can actually access Emacs through a daemon. So when you start Emacs, the daemon starts, and every single subsequent window that you open, well, I guess it would be called a frame in Emacs lingo, but every subsequent window you open is essentially instantaneous because it's just running off the daemon. You're running a client to that original Emacs program. What word am I looking for here? But the original Emacs instance that you opened, there's a daemon that comes in and essentially just uses that as its startup. So you'll see at the bottom, your startup time is 0.6 seconds, which is super fast.
Oh, okay.
That's actually tremendously fast. Generally, mine takes about 4 seconds to start up.
Because you have a lot of stuff added, I guess.
I do. Yeah, I have I think I have 330 packages. You have 120 or 126. I can't read that.
128.
128. Okay, there you go. Testing my vision.
All right. So now that I'm here, what was it that I needed to? Well, how do I create a file? Basically,
space period.
Space period. Okay, that opens.
So that's your file system.
Okay, hold on. Space is file explorer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yep, and then if you wanted to create it in whatever directory, you can create it
Oh,
there.
I see, I see.
Yeah, and then if you hit backspace, it should actually go back like a whole directory. You shouldn't have to like, yeah, exactly. So you can like find whatever directory you wanted to create the file and create the file with a .org extension.
Okay, and does Emacs open in a certain directory? When I opened it right now, did it open? Well, I guess it opened where I was at, and I was here in the
Yes.
.files latest, right?
Yes. Yeah. So wherever you open it from in your terminal is where it will open in the file system.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna use this .files latest, and I'm going to create here. How do I create a directory here? Can I create it?
Yeah, create another, say, Emacs or whatever you want to create the directory. Just add a trailing slash to it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's your directory, and then whatever file you want to do within it. So,
okay.
Yeah. So example.org or whatever.
Example.org. Okay, and then I hit enter.
Yep.
So that is gonna create the file and the directory. Okay.
Yeah, and it'll ask if you want to create it. Then it'll say why.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. There you go. And then you're actually in editing mode, so you can literally name the file from get-go. If you want to just leave it as example, leave it as example.
Okay.
You can hit escape and you can use Vim.
Oh, okay. I can use my... Okay, got it. I can leave the title there at the top, right?
Yeah.
Does something happen if I remove this title?
No, the file will still have the same name and everything. It's just like that is a org mode specific tag. So there's a multitude of tags you could add to an org file. That's just like your title. It's kind of like your front matter or
metadata or something like. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. So you said that headings. Then, if I want to start with the heading here,
it's an asterisk.
I want to have. I'm just used to in Neovim. You know, I follow some markdown guidelines, and I just keep one single H1 per file. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. It's usually the name of the file, right? I'm just gonna leave that there. If I wanna do a level 2 heading, is 2 asterisks, right?
Correct.
Then I leave a space.
Yep. And then you could write whatever, like let's say it's a to-do. You could capitalize TOTDO, like to-do. There you go. And it will format it as such. And then you could say, I don't know, finish this video, right?
Okay. So it detects that this is a to-do, right?
Yes. And then if you hit enter, you actually can mark it as done on that line.
Okay. With enter, you cycle through the states.
Yes. So there's a multitude of states you can do in Doom Emacs. I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but you could have like a starting or a waiting if you're like bottlenecked for something. Like, let's say you send something off to somebody else and you're waiting for it to come back. Wait would be a good tag to add to it. In addition to that, if you go to the end of that line, you can add a colon.
With space, right? I leave a space before?
Yeah, leave a space and then a colon right beside the space. Let's say you want to tag it as video, so capital VIDEO. And then a closing colon. Yeah.
Okay.
Colon, not semicolon.
Oh, both of them are colon, right?
Yeah, colon.
Video. Oh, okay.
That's a tag.
Okay.
That's a tag. So that you can use that as a tag to, let's say this is like your only org file you ever create, and it's 10,000 lines long. You can traverse it based on the tag. So let's say this is your video to do, or there's a home to do, or there's a work to do, or whatever. You could just tag it as such, and you would be able to traverse the file just going through the tags.
Okay.
Yeah, I generally don't do that with an org file. The only big org file I have is my projects, but some people, there's different methods for doing it. Same thing with Markdown, right?
Yeah.
I know you like your daily. You like your daily file.
Yeah.
So you could do that. I remember
using tags in the past. When I was a huge fan of Obsidian, and I used Obsidian, a lot, and I learned a lot of stuff about Obsidian. I remember that I created tags, a lot of tags. I never used them. So tags for me don't exist. I don't.
Yep. And some people don't use it at all.
Yeah.
They exist, but they don't exist. I'm with you on that one. I only use it for very specific projects. But some people use it for everything. Like if they create a to do, it has to have a tag on it. They're
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
they're
I
that
tried that.
meticulous about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did go through that. I spent hours, and days, probably even months, with playing with tags. And now
Yeah.
they just don't exist for me anymore. But it's good for people that do like using tags to know that this is an option, right? Can you have nested tags?
I believe so. So you could essentially just add infinite tags to that. Like you could just, at the end of that video, you could tag another work and then you could essentially tag infinitely on top of it.
Okay.
No space between the two colons. You can actually just use the previous. Yeah, exactly. So
And
you
does
could
it
just
have
have
to
like
be
a ton of.
uppercase or no?
I don't believe so. I think you can use lowercase as well. And as an aside, if you liked Obsidian, orgmode. Orgmode is a package that kind of like it replicates Obsidian in the best of ways in that it like you get your links to your different files and stuff. I'll show you that in the next video.
Yeah.
'Cause this
In the next one, yeah, it's gonna be too
Yeah.
much. Yeah. All right. All right. So
Yeah.
I have a heading 2 here, right? And what
Yes.
if I want to have tasks inside? If I go to the next line,
Yep.
how do I add bullet points? Is
So
it just a dash?
You could do a dash and then you could do, let's say you want to do like a checkbox. You can do just your opening and closing bracket, and that would be a checkbox. Or you can use this as a note, and as your, like, I would say that would be a note. You could have a bullet point underneath it as a note to do, for the to do rather. And then you could have like additional to dos if you want.
How do I
It's-
how do I make this line like a task? Like
So if you wanted to do, you can either add to do. I don't actually for bullets. I don't think you can do to do. Maybe you can try adding to do to the very front of it.
oh no, the right below. Oh, and I have a question before we continue. I use
yeah.
bullet points a lot, right? So I have
Yeah.
a plugin in Neovim. When I hit enter here, I just want to have another. Let me show you. I think it's easier.
I know exactly what you're saying. You want to add a bullet point
A
below
bullet
it.
point. Yeah, below it. Yep.
So go to the line with the bullet point and hit Control Enter.
Here, Control Enter. Okay.
Bing. There you go.
So you have
so
to
let's
use
say-
Control Enter all the time.
Yeah, but you can change that behavior. Anything is changeable.
Okay. Let me just Control Enter. Control Enter. You know what? I should open this with Emacs and edit this. The only problem is that this is in a network drive, so probably Emacs is going to be a little bit slower. So if I want to open Emacs in this directory, I can, right?
Yes.
So I just run Emacs. What happens with the instance that I have running already?
It should stay alive, and you should actually have another instance that pops up.
So I can have 2 instances there.
Yes.
Let's
And that's
see.
why you would run it with Emacs client. So when you start Emacs, you can actually run it with the command Emacs client, and it will actually create that client for you, so that the next startup would be very quick. Yeah. So you should be within your. Yeah. There you go. You're within your data volume and everything.
Yeah. And it was space dot.
Yep.
And here I can look through is there like a file picker? Like, can I bring up something that allows me to search for the file?
Just hit enter right now.
Enter, okay.
That is kind of your file picker. That's dirhead.
And I can type here like the name of the other file that I had, what that was. I don't remember what name I gave it, but can I search for something here? Emacs? No.
Yes, you can. Are you in the same directory?
Yeah, I typed something and I don't know why, what I did. How can I exit out of this?
Go back. It's essentially Vim. So like it's like Ranger. You can just hit
go back.
HAKL. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Here I'm in the directory. It's inside posts.
Yep.
But is there a way for me just to bring up something that I can type and search? Like
For the post. Yeah. Space F.
So when I'm in here, right?
Yeah. Space F and then capital F after that.
Okay.
Correct. And then just search Emacs or whatever your name. There you go.
Oh, okay. And let's say that I'm in in Emacs, how do I quit out of this menu with
You can hit Q.
Q?
But,
Okay.
Or you could even just kill the buffer too, because we'll talk about buffers and stuff because later, another video. But
Okay.
The way that Emacs works is instead of using tmux, you're using buffers inside of a workspace. So like every single window or that you open is a buffer, and that buffer lives forever until you kill it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So if I type, when I open Emacs, if I type here liter F, capital F again, I can search for, okay, find file from here, right?
There you go.
Okay.
It's kind of like your, not harpoon, but telescope, as somebody in the comments of the previous video had mentioned. Exactly. That was my bad.
All right. So this, where am I? Here. So it's liter F, capital F, to find files. Okay, great. All right. So control enter for the bullet points. This is to find files. Okay, I have the headings here. How can I fold the headings? With what was the key that you mentioned that is to fold headings?
I believe it's tab. I'm not sure for markdown. I don't use markdown, but there you go.
Okay. Oh yeah, but this is markdown, and we're interested in org mode. Okay, let me switch to the other one. Okay, we're in org here. Okay, but it still opens the markdown files, and I can see.
Yep, everything is. I believe Doom Emacs. This may even be native Emacs uses tree sitter. So whenever you open a file of a certain extension, it'll give you the syntax highlighting within it. So you see your syntax highlighting, which looks nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can add a task. How can I a bullet point? I'm sorry, with control enter, and how can I add a task here? Let's say that I want this to be a task.
Let's say it's a checkbox, for example.
Yeah, a checkbox.
Open space, close, open bracket, space, close bracket. Yeah, exactly.
And is there a way to type that with a single key or something, with a shortcut? Or you
there
do
may
it
be.
that way?
I almost never use them, so.
Okay.
But yeah, let's say that's a task, and then you could hit enter on it. It will mark it as done, or it'll check the checkbox for you.
And if I want a task below, control enter. Okay. Control enter creates another tasks. Okay.
Yes.
And with enter, I can mark it as done. Okay.
Yes.
And if I mark this one as done, is the main one marked as done? Like the heading?
No, because it's a subtask of the main task, right? So let's say I believe it's the to do heading that actually dictates that. But you would, you can actually like have like a tracker of how many tasks within that to do you need to do. It gets kind of involved if you, if you really, it gets pretty involved. You can do a lot with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know how to do this, which I use quite often. So I can mark this heading as done, right?
Yes.
And what happens if, for example, let's say that I'm here, right? And I go to a bullet point below. Okay, so no, if I hit enter here, the indentation is going to be shifted to the right, correct?
Right. So you could add a subtask of that subtask of that subtask of that. You see where it's going. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I can indent with control D and control T, just like in Neovim. Okay, that was going to be my question. So this is a bullet point. And how do you create tasks then? Do you create here like a to-do? Do you do to-do here and do it that way? Or is that to-do only works in headings?
It only works in headings, I believe. I'm not sure if you can do different settings for that. But it generally only works in headings as the formatting. Like the formatting will only show in headings.
Oh, so
it's all plain text, right? Like it's all plain text. You could always use it as a to-do, but the formatting and the syntax highlighting for org mode is like, it's based on the heading.
So the idea, I guess, that you create a heading And you just put all of the details for that to do inside that heading. Is that like
correct? And then you have another to do with another heading, and you keep going down the list for more to dos. So like, let's say you have a to do with like, 50 lines of notes underneath it, then those all apply to that heading, and then you would create another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So I mark this to do as done then. Okay. That's what you were showing up on your screen, correct? That's
Correct.
the first thing that we went over, right?
Yep.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Is there something else you want to show regarding that? Okay. So I noticed that you have in your example, I'm looking at your screen right now, you have the main to do, and then you have two headings inside that to do, right?
Yep.
Is that something that you usually do? Like,
you can do it however you really want to. Generally, that's how I would do it. I usually would say, like, because you're recording my screen here, one sec. Like, generally, what I would do is, yes, like I would have like my project generally, and then within that project, I would have the tasks that I need to do within that project. So, like for here, for example, there's my project, there's my subheading of that project, there's my other subheading of that project, and the information that's within that, etc. That's generally how I do it. You can, again, it's plain text, so like you can do it however you want to, but I know that org syntax, it does the highlighting and everything generally when you do the subheadings. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to adapt that into my workflow, and that's how I've always done it.
Okay. So for example, right, let me switch back to my screen. And let's say that I want to add another one here. This would be level 3, right? So it has to be 3 asterisks, right?
Correct. And again, you can do Control Enter on that previous heading to very quickly do another heading.
Control Enter.
Yeah, and it will actually take it underneath, and that's your to do. Or you can, and then you can hit Alt J or Alt H, and that will change the depth of it. So like, let's say if you hit Alt J right now, it'll take it to 3 asterisk.
Alt J.
Yeah, Alt J.
Oh, that's what I'm typing. Hold on, my Alt is not configured properly.
Command J. Sorry.
No, command. Hold on.
Command. What's the word? Command L. Sorry.
Command L. No, or Alt L. Nope.
That doesn't work.
But it must be something with my keyboard, I guess. Or control. Yeah. Well, I can do it the Neovim way, which is control. Hold on. Oh no, I opened another tab. God damn it. And how do I switch back to the other tab?
Just hit space BK. That will kill the previous. Or is that a new tab?
Yeah, I opened the new tab, I think.
Space tab D.
Space tab
D.
Okay.
Yeah, that kills like D is delete, it kills the tab.
Space tab. Oh, tab D kill the tab. I'm just gonna write those down.
Yeah, so that would essentially be like your tmux workspace, right? So every tab would be a tmux workspace.
Session. Okay.
Correct. And then you would essentially be killing the session with that. If you just go to my screen really quick, I'll just show you what I mean.
Yep.
So for example, like what I was saying, this is Alt L, like it takes it down. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it increases the indentation.
Correct. Or you could go back or forward, whichever, right? For me, that's Alt L and Alt H. Sorry, I use colemak, so I always have to think about what keys I'm hitting.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, look, so the way that I do it in Neovim is if I'm in insert mode and I type Control D goes back and Control T goes.
That works for you?
Forward.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, and in normal mode, I usually do it with Shift square brackets. No, it's not square bracket. It's the symbol. This one, you cannot see it there. This.
Greater than.
Yep.
Yeah.
Greater than 2 times or lesser than 2 times to go back.
Oh, there you go.
Normal mode. So seems that it works.
That
with
works.
Neovim.
There are actually multiple methods of doing it. I'm just testing all those right now, and they all work for me as well.
Oh, wonderful.
That's all default. That's all default behavior then.
Okay. So it works. It translates from Neovim quite well. From Vim, I think. Okay. So this is another to do here. Record video, right? So, and I just put text inside this to do, right? So, okay. And it automatically fixes the indentation of the text, right? So I can know that this belongs to this to do, right?
Yep. And if you hit tab on that to do, it'll actually wrap all of that as well.
So it's gonna fold it. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And I can mark that as not done. What if I want to create inside this to do level 3 heading, right? Like I want to separate this in two to-dos of level 3, right? Everything is inside this level 2 heading. I want to have 2 level 3 headings inside. If I hit Control Enter here at the end, it's going to create a level 2. How would you do it? Just manually, right?
Yeah, you could there's probably a way to do it. I usually just do Control Enter and then take that and move it over. So like that, and then I'll hit either Control T or whatever. Exactly.
Okay.
That's generally how I do it.
Task 1, Control Enter, task
2.
And I can move stuff from here. If I hit P, okay. And I can move these 2 to the other one. Okay.
Yep.
And if I fold this, it's gonna fold everything. Nice. And this unfolds only that specific task.
Yeah, and if you hit shift+tab, the whole file will unfold or fold. So shift+tab will and then again and again, and the whole thing will unfold. There you go. So like if you have like a gazillion tasks, you might have to. I always fold everything up, and then I focus really only on the thing that I'm doing.
You know, without knowing, I replicated whatever this folding and all that is in Neovim. Yeah. I just needed, because I use the outline a lot, right? So if I switch here to, let me see, to this, right? This is the file. Without knowing, I kind of did the same thing in Neovim. Yeah. Because I like to fold everything level 1, level 2. If I want to see level 2 and level 3, I have another key map. Right. Yep. So, because it allows me to navigate faster. So. Oh, totally. So I don't have to.
There's no configuration you'd have.
No configuration, yeah. Because I had to.
They've thought of a lot of things. They've thought of everything with org mode. Like honestly, it's. I was thinking about creating a system with like Task Warrior and all that stuff to try to replicate it. Mm-hmm. There's no replicating it. They've thought of everything. Like it was like hubris on my part to even think that I was capable of doing something along those lines.
That you were going to invent the wheel in Emacs.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to reinvent the wheel that had already been rolling things for 5,000 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because my grandfather probably uses Emacs. Just old people. You're the people is gonna hate me. But I just kidding.
Emacs has been around for almost 50 years.
Yeah. So
that's staying power, man.
They thought about everything already, right? So
guys with much bigger beards than I have thought of everything.
For sure. And wider beards.
Exactly.
All right. So this is good. I don't think I have.
Let's say you want to let's schedule something. Let's do that for kind of like the final thing.
Oh yeah.
So
let's do it.
Let's say you want to record that video. Let's say Control C.
Where? Here? Where I'm at right now? Control C?
Yep. Yeah. Control C. Control S.
Control C. Control S.
Boom.
Oh, that's
now you have
that's. I didn't like those key maps. Hold on. Control C.
That's an Emacs control, so control is like there's a adage in the Emacs community called Emacs pinky. Control is like right under your pinky, And like
Yeah.
you actually like go to break your pinky because you keep hitting. You have to hit control so much, right?
Yeah.
So because you have a glove 80, look into
Yeah.
homerow mods, dude. Control is literally under my middle finger now.
Oh yeah, I have thought about homerow mods as well, but
It's dude, they are game changing. They are game changing.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
to implement them, but again, I want to type the same way on my laptop keyboard, the
Yeah.
exact same way that I do it in the Glove 80. So that's why I have not implemented them already. But
Yeah.
I'll see what I come up with. I'll
I'm
come
too
up
far
with
gone.
something.
I'm
Yeah.
too far gone. Like I use colemak DH with homerow mods, and like I can't even type in QWERTY anymore.
That's the other thing, Imagine I'm teaching stuff to my daughter, right?
I know.
Like,
I've thought about it too. I'm like, oh, I have to teach my daughter how to type. Oh my
yeah.
goodness, what am I gonna do? Yeah.
Let's both learn to type. How did it go
Yeah.
with the colemak switch? When did you switch to
A
colemak?
year ago. A
Oh,
year
yeah.
ago in January. So yeah, I've been using it for about 14 months.
And you wanted to be one of them cool kids, or was there a reason?
No, so I wrote a book, and I wrote essentially about 100,000 words for that book. By the end
Oh,
of it, my fingers were dying. So what I did was, it was actually pragmatic. Was I was like, how do I continue to type this much all the time? And colemak seems to be the answer for me, because I've probably typed over 1 million words using colemak. I have never experienced that hand pain ever again.
oh man, you know what? Because I have been feeling pain lately. Let's say that I'm
Yeah.
creating an article, right? A blog post article. I usually
Mm,
type a lot of stuff in those, right? By the end of typing an article, let's say that I'm typing it for 2 hours, right? Because when
yeah.
I start, I just finish it, right? Let's say it's two
Hmm.
hours. By the end of it, my hands, my fingers hurt, right? So,
Yeah.
or if I type a lot of stuff, they start hurting. So,
It's like it sucks to switch over because you're
yeah,
like you're a
I can
baby again,
imagine.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
But
worse than a baby, man.
oh yeah. No, but I threw myself into it and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And it took me probably about a month to get up to about 70 words a minute. But I would
Hmm.
say that I'm faster now than I was in QWERTY. And I'm typing like probably about 100, 105 words a minute with it. And it is comfortable. You do a lot of like rolling. So like it feels really cool to type because you're like rolling over the keys as opposed to like hitting individual. You see what I'm saying? It's like more like rolling.
Yeah, yeah, because they're in a more natural position for the English language, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's I mean it's esoteric and like I don't recommend everybody do it, but for me that spends way too much time on a computer. It was well worth the investment in time and energy to do it.
I don't think about it. I just don't want to go through the pain because I know it's gonna be really painful to learn.
I'm
But
laughing and I'm shaking my desk.
yeah, me too. Me too.
But
All
yeah,
right, so
so now you're able to like literally schedule it to whatever date you want. You can just type in a time like 10 a.m. or whatever.
so
And
so how do I select that date? Do I use Vim keybinds? Like, can I
I
switch?
believe I've changed this behavior for me, but I think it is literally control and then your Vim keys. So it's control and then whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, control. Okay,
Yes.
so I can select the day that way. Let's say that.
Yes.
Can I go to today? Oh, with the dot, right?
Just you can even just hover over today, which is the 8th, I want to say. There's the 9th. It's the 8th.
Oh no, but let's
And
say that I'm lost. I'm here. How can I go to today's day?
that's a good question.
It
I
says
don't even
there
know.
at the bottom dot today, but I don't know what happens if I press it. If it's just gonna.
Try it. Hit dot.
Oh, okay, so it just moves me there.
Wow. They've literally thought of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So let's say that I want to schedule this record video for tomorrow. I just go over here and what now?
Type a time. Like let's say it's 10 a.m. Just type
Okay,
in
10.
I always do 10:00. I think it has natural language. Like you could do 10 a.m. like the word just 10:10 a.m. I think it actually will work as
Oh
well.
yeah, it works.
Yeah.
That's quite nice, 10
Yes.
p.m. Yeah.
Yes. There you go. So like you could just and then you hit enter. and then you have a scheduled tag now for that.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's do one final thing and add this to your org agenda. So hit
Okay.
Control C,
Control C,
open bracket.
open bracket. Which one is open bracket? This one. No, I don't think I. No. Formula debugging has been turned on. I did
No.
open squiggly bracket instead.
Okay, no, open like square bracket. Sorry.
So what did you say? Control C.
Control
right?
C, open square bracket.
Open square brackets.
That file is added to the front of your file list, and now hit space O.
Hold on. Wait. Before I forget this. So
there's so many keybinds, man. It is like literally the biggest rabbit hole ever.
Control C, and what was the last one that you said?
Open square bracket. Open square bracket.
Open square bracket. Okay, this is
and that will add a file to your org agenda, and then the same thing with a closed square bracket will delete it from your agenda.
Control C. Delete file from org. I'm not going to work on this file too much. I'm just going to upload it so people following the video will understand what's going on. Other people going to my blog
They'll be like, what is he talking about?
Yeah, they're not going to get it. So
it's all
and
good.
To move between dates, it was control.
And then your Vim keys.
To move between dates in calendar.
Yeah, and then to get into the calendar is Control C, Control F.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Control C, Control S. Open the calendar?
Yes.
That's to bring it up, right?
Yes. If you want to go to my screen really quickly, I'm going to show you something too.
Oh, I had it written down already here. Control C, Control S. Let me switch to your screen. There.
Yeah. So like, because there's so many, like there's a gazillion keybinds, right? If you're lost on a Mac, you can hit Command X, which is meta X, right? And let's say I want a calendar add or calendar, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you can see how many commands are related to the calendar in Emacs here, right? I guess it would actually be schedule, LE. There you go, org schedule. You see this? So if you're like, I know there's a command to do this, but I can't remember what it is. Hit meta X or Alt X on Linux and Windows or Command X on Mac and start just typing things, and you'll eventually find the command because it's all self-documented, right?
Okay, I'm writing here, so this helps. There's something in Neovim for this as well. I do Command K, and I can search for my key maps basically, right? So I'm just gonna type in here, find key maps basically, right? And I'm just gonna
it's also not only your key maps, but literally every command that Emacs has available to it. So like you could write a list function and call that in your configuration. That function will be available in this list. Literally everything that Emacs has available to it is in this list.
Okay, so it's not just key maps, and it's
everything. It's like the whole shebang, the whole system.
Find every command basically, right?
Yes. Every command, every function, everything, just everything. It's the most powerful command in Emacs, I would say, because you literally can just search for anything that you need to do.
Wonderful. All right. So what now then?
Okay, so now that you've scheduled it and you've added it to your org agenda, you can hit space OC, so leader OC, and that should open a calendar, I want to say. It's undefined. You don't have the calendar package. We'll have to add that at a later date.
Yep, I think this is enough for now. We can go over that other package that you mentioned, the calendar one, and do the other things in the video. Of course, if you have the time and if you want to help out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we can...
this is fun, man. This is like, it's also jogging my brain to like remember everything, because everything is like essentially... It's like muscle memory at this point. So like I have to like go through and like think about is it that command or is it that command? Yeah. So it helps me even to remember things. So
Yeah, and the thing is that you're probably not using the vanilla Doom Emacs. You configured it
no.
for yourself. So if I would go
I was just gonna say there's a lot of things that I've added to it too. So.
Yeah. So if I would, if I go to the vanilla lazy Vim distribution, right? I wouldn't know a lot of things because I already configured mine to my needs. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. And what if I want to use your own config? Is that possible? Like get your packages and all that, so that I don't have to go through all.
Yeah. So my dot files, I actually have a lot of my Emacs configuration up there. There's a folder in it called.
You want to show
Lisp.
your dot files?
Sure.
Yep.
I'll show my dot files.
All right.
Yeah, you can go to my screen. I'll just show it here. So this is like my base Doom dot file. Does that show up good for you?
Yep. A little bit small,
so within,
but it's good.
Oh, here, I'll bump it up a little bit. So there's I have a private config. So there's a couple of things that I have, like my org calendar credentials and everything are within my private. I don't source control that, but within my Lisp directory, there are various functions that I've written to like create a daily file, because we were talking about you like your daily stuff.
Yep.
I create a daily file with this. So like I literally hit meta+x create daily file, and there's my daily file right here for April 8th. That's literally just been created by that command.
Okay.
So there's various things that I've done in here. Done refile, like I refile my to-dos into a singular done file with the date. So it literally just shows like everything that I've ever done in date format. So I could like go back and be like, I did this on this date or whatever. And it's searchable all in one file.
Okay.
This meeting assistant thing is, I don't have it working just perfectly yet, but like you send me a meeting link and I add it to my agenda, it actually will give me a notification 2 minutes before the meeting starts to go to the link in Zoom or Jitsi or whatever. I'm not sure if I don't think it's fully working yet. There's a couple things I need to do here, but you can literally, like, you'll see like there's the links and everything that are defined and there we go. Yeah, I'm not a Lisp wizard at all, and I use Claude a lot to write some of these functions.
Me too. With Neovim stuff, I'm not a Lua expert, so I use AI a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good with Lisp stuff, but I want to get to the point where I'm like fully understanding it and using it. Like when I write a function, I'm like, I generally am not like, just write me this function. I'm like, explain every step of it so that I can understand everything. Couple other things in here, like you can start a Pomodoro timer. This pop-up dervish browser is literally like something that I use to, it's on my other screen sec. It's literally like a file browser that I use for everything in Emacs.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, there's like a gazillion different things that I have, but they're all within my dot files. I can send you my repo and you can post it in the comments if you want.
Yep, I will. You want to open your dot files in the browser real quick before?
These are public too, so like they're actually people are following it and such. So here's my my dot file repo. I try to keep everything private out of it, so it's everything that's essentially functional for making my Emacs configuration work is in here. So and I even have a couple of configurations to like change some of the base Emacs stuff. Like most people can just completely ignore that, but there's snippets. Like you can go pretty in depth with it. Like if you wanted to write snippets for stuff that you always write all of the time in orgmode, for example. Yeah, like literally for ending my blog posts, I have a snippet to just end my blog post, for example, or create the front matter for a blog post or any of that sort of thing. Those are pretty powerful too. But I mean, we're getting into the weeds here.
We're just getting started.
So much. Yeah, there's just so much you can do. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'd like to, if you have time and if you're willing to do it, I'd like to continue like this series because I don't want to touch the Emacs configuration. I just want to leave it where it is, since the same way that I did it with the last video, right? So that
sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah, so that people following the video can just continue where I left off.
That sounds like a plan. I mean, if I can get one more person to use Emacs, I will have evangelized properly. So
You want to quickly show your YouTube channel, Josh, if you have it there? Sure. So people can go and subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, it's on my screen. There's my YouTube channel. If you want to come by and hang out with me, there is. I do stuff, technology, theology, kind of first principle stuff. I don't know. I just ramble on my YouTube channel, and it's kind of fun. So.
And what content are you going to be working on in the future? Like, is it going to be Emacs or
more Emacs related stuff? Kind of from this point on has been mostly Emacs related, and I'm going to continue with that pretty drastically. And yeah, just some like talking head stuff. What's on my mind? All of that. Okay. Essentially, the whole gist of the channel is truth and technology. So that's what I cover in my channel.
Yeah, but not niche down only to Emacs, right? So it could be basically anything. Yeah.
Mostly, like I am a huge advocate for free and open systems. So it's, Unix based stuff. Everything that is kind of going to set you free when you use a computer as they were originally intended to do.
Like Stallman said, right? So you're just like a fanboy.
Yeah. I'm a modern Richard Stallman. No, that's way too much. No.
No, because you use the internet, man, and you're using Google. I guess he doesn't agree to that. How would he feel?
I mean, I have a YouTube channel, so I mean, in and of itself, that is already it's already absolutely proprietary, as Richard Stallman would say. So.
All right, Josh, was fun. I really appreciate your time and helping me with all this. Any final words before we wrap it up?
No, man, I'm excited to keep going with this, and you can see I'm passionate about it. So you can see that it's something that I think a lot of people would. You can see what the potential of a computer is, and you start to have like this thing that just unlocks in your mind. You're like, I've been using a computer wrong my entire life.
That is correct, and there's a different way to use my computer, not just clicking around, navigating through apps and being slow. No, there's an efficient way of doing things, right?
Yeah, man. And I mean, the limitations are almost non-existent when you start to see like what a computer can possibly be. And that's kind of what I guess I'm trying to convey with my channel.
Yeah, great. All right, Josh. Appreciate it, man. I'll see you later then.
Thanks for having me, man. Take care.
Bye.